We're done. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited here. We are here with episode 12 of Own Your Phone. My guest today is probably, if not the best, one of the absolute best social media marketing experts on the face of the planet. She's an incredible real estate agent and expert, and she has helped countless people build their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. We're excited to have her on with us today on the Phone. It's time to own the phone. Alrighty, welcome. Good to have you here today. Our guest today has crammed a whole lot of life in about 25 years. Pretty amazing what she's accomplished in her short time on the earth here. Just real quickly, on her Instagram page, she positions herself as a 24-year-old digital marketing strategist and entrepreneur. Like I said before, she's helped countless companies scale from 6 to 7 figures and beyond. She does, budget optimization, strategic funnels, dominating shift from organic to paid media, social media marketing. She's also absolutely one of the most inspirational people that you will ever find on Instagram. And, she's been in some sort of online marketing and coaching probably since I think it says about 2016, right? Last 5 years, pretty much stayed through, right? Mm-hmm. She's also a real estate agent and a real estate investor, and she has the experience of a 75-year-old woman. So anyway, welcome, Tessabella. Good to have you. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing amazing. Thank you for the intro. It's always funny to hear how it's presented in somebody else's perspective. I'm listening, I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Wait a second, I want to meet that person. Who is that, right?
Yeah,
so just to give you guys an idea of, of how prominent she is. I mean, you're almost at 70,000 followers now on Instagram. You're pretty darn close to that, right? And,
yep.
If you've watched today's video that I posted, she talks a little bit about why Instagram is so important. She's going to get into all that today, but I think the most telling factor is that it took me 2.5 months to get you here. So I guess we'll let that speak for itself. So anyway, so good to have you here. Thanks for making some time for me. So we talked on the phone when I first asked you to join me, and you shared a little bit about your story. But we were just talking a little bit before we hopped on here today. And if you go to Instagram, people see you working out, and your whole premise is let people see your life, let people see your story, let them get to know you intimately, right? Because that's how they're going to connect with you and how you and determine if they're going to want to work with you or not. But a lot of people see what they see now. It's like chapter 10 of your life, but there was 9 chapters that probably weren't as glamorous as potentially as they are today, right? So if you could just give us a few minutes of where you came from, share your story a little bit. You shared with me about the things you've overcome and how you got at least to where you decided you were going to be in real estate. Let's start there.
Yeah, awesome. It's always a bit of a challenge to Cliff Notes this story, so I'll do my best. But
whatever you got to do. I mean, we're live. It's my time, so we're good.
All right. Well, I actually was born in California, grew up in Oregon on a small town farm in the middle of nowhere, which nobody ever believes when I say it now, because you do see the lifestyle I lead. And if you meet me in person, a lot of people are like, there is no way you grew up on a farm. But that's where it all started. And believe it or not, I believe that it actually begins in those kind of settings where you pick up so many of the characteristics that you then carry over into your life, either because it was modeled to you what you don't want to do, or you had to, get yourself in or out of a situation in order to, beat the odds. So growing up in a small town, a lot of times teenagers, get into the bad things, and that's kind of your options. And I knew from an early age that I did not want to get sucked into this world of, surrounding myself with that. And also I didn't want to get stuck in a small town. I had seen it happen before, and I knew I had bigger dreams than what little old Oregon could handle for me at the time. And so from a very early age, I started working when I was 14. I got a job washing dishes at a little Chinese restaurant where nobody spoke English. And I'll tell you, it was one of the most disgusting jobs, because the things that you are washing as a dishwasher, oh my goodness, it is not glamorous by any means. But I knew the meaning of hard work and a work ethic. And when you set your mind on something, you really stop at nothing to get it. So then, I I had the goal of moving somewhere sunny. I just really wanted somewhere with palm trees. So it was California or Arizona was my vision. And paying for it yourself as a young, fresh college kid, Arizona seemed a little more affordable than California. So headed down to Arizona and dove in, full force. I drove myself down here the day after I graduated. My car had no AC, which you can imagine is pretty brutal in July of August or July and August summertime here in Arizona, which we're experiencing now is like 110, 112 degrees. It's insane. So that's what they say. But this year we've had a lot of rain, so it's been humid. It's been pretty thick outside, which is a whole different experience. But I've actually grown to love it. I really do love the heat. There's some days that are unbearable, but it's not bad. So I started working at Dutch Bros Coffee, if anyone's familiar. It's a now pretty large chain. At the time, there were not a ton of locations. And honestly, it started in Oregon. So it was something that felt familiar to me. I was like, oh, I recognize this brand. I recognize this name. And it was such a blessing because I was now surrounded with what my manager at the time said, you're a part of our family of misfits. And that's exactly how I felt. I didn't have a very stable family growing up. And so I was kind of on my own from the beginning. So when you find your people, whether virtual or in person or in whatever capacity, and you start to finally feel like you kind of belong somewhere, there's so much power in that. And as somebody who faced a lot of social anxiety and pretty much all of these things, especially moving to a brand new city with not a whole lot of plan or backup plan, I was nervous, I was scared, but I just kept pushing forward. And I poured everything I had into that job and was able to grow in that very quickly. So I moved up to a management position, which was incredible for building skill set. But I knew I had this dream of real estate. Like I was so obsessed with watching HGTV in the couple of hours that I wasn't sleeping, because I was also going to school. I was also serving at another job. Like I think I was sleeping a maximum of like 2 hours a night. and I would find a way still to squeeze in an episode or two of Flip or Flop from HGTV. And I was like, I have got to do this. And so I put together a slideshow and I just started talking everyone's ear off. I said, anyone that's going to listen, I'm going to talk until I find somebody who will actually listen to me and hear my pitch, basically. So I got comfortable and connected with like a friend of a friend of a friend, and he was doing some work with the oil rigs and whatnot in North Dakota and had a bit of money. And somehow he agreed to get on a Skype call with me. And so we're sitting on a Skype call, and I'm nervous. But I had prepared. I knew I had the best slideshow that you could possibly have, and I thought that was all I needed.
Right.
And so I took him through this whole presentation. And I probably carried it by passion alone. But at the end of it, I sat there and he said yes. And I remember that I had prepared so much for everything in that moment, except for what to do if he said yes. So now I'm sitting on the other side of this call like, wait, really? And it was this like state of excitement and paralysis almost of not knowing what the next step was. But I knew I had got myself this far. I'm going to figure it out. So he committed to funding the first flip, which was in Central Phoenix at the time. And man, that first flip was just about every possible mistake you can make. Still somehow came out profitable, and then just continued to roll over the profits of each property time after time, and built a pretty substantial investment company. And all the while I was documenting it on social media. So I was taking videos, photos, everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I had no filter on what was going to be shown, and started to just accrue this really awesome organic following and community of people who joined the process and who wanted to know what was going on, and who would ask like, oh, how are you doing it? And all of these other questions. So that evolved to starting a real estate team, a traditional real estate team, where we then had I think at the max, I had 23 sales agents on the team. So I was basically a mom of 23 children at that point, is how it felt.
Let me try. How old were you at this time?
I was 20.
Right. So I'm just trying to give some perspective here. You know what I'm saying? Like we've got all these people that they're like 40, 50, 60 years old. They think their life's over, and doesn't matter what age you are, you can make things happen if you want to make them happen, right? So anyway, you're 20 years old, you get 23 agents. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to point that out.
No, I'm actually really glad you pointed that out, because as much as sometimes, I mean, the age thing now is almost praised. It's like, oh, you've accomplished so much at this age. But to be honest, to this point, I have fought tooth and nail to get and earn the respect as a young person. And it started from an early point when I talked about, that position at Dutch Bros and getting this management role. I had every card stacked against me. Nobody wants to listen to an 18-year-old tell them what to do and be their manager. The respect was absolutely not there. And it was a challenge to go in every day and continue to earn that, even when people are telling you that they're never going to respect you. I had one person quit because I got that role and didn't even know me. They had no idea who I was, nothing. They just simply couldn't take the fact of the matter that I was younger than them and stuff. So there was always a lot of adversity that came with being young in those settings. And so as much as it's an advantage, it also can serve as a disadvantage. It's just the way that you position it. And it's ultimately disabling that as a limiting belief, because it can stop you either way. It can either be that it's too late for me to change, or I'm too young to do this. So it's not kind of giving the power to that. So I'm glad you pointed that out. But
great distinction.
Yeah. So now I'm running a real estate team, and all the while my passion has always been the marketing and the branding. Like, that to me is what fuels anything. Real estate was just my vehicle to serve my purpose and serve my mission. And so I continued to go out and I would speak at brokerages. I would train on social media for real estate. I started even kind of a small agency at the time, helping other businesses and brands somewhat within the real estate space to really accomplish what I had been able to accomplish. So fast forward a bit, throughout the next couple of years, it was a lot of growth, a lot of good and bad. We were the official real estate partner of the NBA's Phoenix Suns, which nowadays would be really freaking cool. But at the time they sucked. I had so many free tickets. Like, I was trying to give free tickets out. People didn't even want the free tickets. The game, they were so bad at the time. Wow. And now I'm like, now everyone's a Suns fan. I'm like, I was a Suns fan when my face was up in that arena when they were losing every game over and over and over. But yeah, so over the years had quite a few different things that came of that. And honestly, it was so much of those opportunities where doors opened because of the brand and the consistency that I had built on social media. Like, that has opened up more doors for me than anything in the entire world, and allowed it to be this powerful networking tool in the palm of my hand that allows me to now, forge connections, get referrals, send referrals, attend events, all kinds of stuff. And it was so incredible to have that really come to life. So in 2019, I made a pivot to go all in towards the marketing direction. 2018 really was kind of the start of it, but 2018, 2019 was a big pivot in my business. Went all in on the marketing branding side. I've since worked with, many of the top real estate TV celebrities that you see on Netflix, HGTV, Bravo. Those kind of things are my clients, friends, and connections because of the work that we've put in. So now, we do all kinds of stuff, whether it's courses, websites, social media, pretty much anything under the sun as far as building a brand and a massive digital footprint. That's where we really shine.
Nice. I love it, man. I just, it's funny because I'm what the coolest thing is too, and I don't know if you do this with everybody, but even if I put a heart on something that you do, you go back and you heart my heart. Like, right? Or you always it's amazing. You're engaging with people. It's incredible. So, and obviously that served you well, right? Because people feel like they get you, you know what I'm saying? Right? Because I'm a 53-year-old man from New Hampshire, you know what I'm saying? You're a 25-year-old woman in Phoenix. We have about as much in common as like peanut butter and Jello, you know what I'm saying? So, but still, I enjoy following you and seeing what you're doing. So let's talk about, because I do want to get to converting online leads like we talked about, but I'm really interested in, people I think make it harder than it needs to be as far as building an online presence. Wouldn't you agree? Don't they feel like they've got to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and it's just crazy. People make it so hard. Like, when people come to you, what's your advice to them generally? Obviously, case by case is different based on production, amount of money they have, and stuff like that. But do you have any general advice that would be helpful for anybody who wants to grow their online presence?
Oh, I sure do. Well, if there's two things that you take away, the two most powerful things that I would give is one that you can really sum it all up with is start from where you are with what you have. I think the number one reason that people fail to build a successful brand or business online is because you're comparing your day one to somebody's year 8, where they've been building their brand elsewhere, or they've been gaining traction and building this audience. And so we set out, we're excited, maybe even tune into something like this. You're like, oh, I'm going to go crush it on Instagram, and set out with this goal to post every single day for the next 3 years. And you're going to have 1 million followers and stuff like that. But you're not starting from where you are. So I always tell people, and this is where I get disagreement from other, gurus and whatnot that are in this space as well, is I say start from where you are with what you have, build up the confidence and comfort within that space, and then gradually add to it. Because the beauty of it now for me is, like, I don't even think about the engagements and the things that I'm doing on social media. It's so second nature, because it's just a part of my process. It's a part of what I do to document things throughout the day. It doesn't feel like this overwhelming task, or this thing that I really have to set aside time for. However, in the beginning, you will need to strategically put some time away to be effective with it. But don't write off the entire thing from the get-go. Just start from where you are first and build up. Second thing is consistency, which I guess goes hand in hand with that, is even if you can say, oh, I'm going to do 2 posts a week. Do 2 posts a week for at least 60 days and gradually build up from there, because you're going to condition your audience. You're going to show them that you're consistent. I'll actually give an example of this. I used to be terrified of video, like absolutely petrified, which people today don't believe, because I am on videos and recording and doing stuff all the time, but I could not. Like, I knew it was important, but I'd pick up the phone or the camera and I'd go to record and I just would freeze. Like, I couldn't get a word out. And so I've had this theory of throwing yourself in the deep end. I think when put in a sink or swim situation, a lot of times you'll find a way to figure it out. So I challenged myself to do a 30-day live video challenge. And I went live on Facebook and Instagram every single day for 30 days, which felt like a very daunting task at the time. But I completed it. And out of that, I actually had closed 7 transactions strictly from that challenge. And most of the videos were not even about real estate. It was more so just a conversation about what was going on that day, or a topic, or an upcoming event, something along those lines. And I was able to use that as something that I then showed consistency in, and I won business because of it. So consistency and starting from where you are really so crucial.
And it's interesting you talk about the comparison of, year 1 versus year 8. If somebody goes to your Instagram page, there's video of you where somebody's clearly videoing you while you're doing whatever you're doing. I mean, that's, and then I think you just had a photo shoot done, right? So I saw some video from that, and, you've got all these professional things done, but I've also seen videos of you painting on your floor and holding your dog and golfing and hanging out with your friends. And, so I think you really live what you tell people to do. I'm saying? It's not all, completely candid and, professionally produced. It's you being you at every level, and that serves you, I think, extremely well, obviously, because I found you, and I'm a little newer to social media than you are, despite the fact that we're so different in age. And I think it's, and the other thing is, because my whole program is about sales reluctance, getting in front of a camera, getting on a phone, and why people have so much trouble doing that, and how to get over that whole thing. And so I appreciate and I honor your vulnerability and your bravery, and your willingness to not just do it, but also tell people, because I think you're a great example for, I think my understanding is 40% of existing salespeople and 80% of new salespeople suffer from some sort of sales reluctance, whether it's getting in front of a camera, hopping on a phone. So I honor you for your vulnerability there. So talk to us now. Let's talk about converting leads online. I mean, because that's really, what your bread and butter is, and, why people pay you what they pay you to do. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reluctance piece that you just brought up is such a key point here. I think that we can overcome a lot of that feeling in the way that we prepare and that we start. And so obviously a lot of the service I provide, what I do and offer people is social media, right? It's the marketing, it's the initial exposures, it's those first interactions with your potential leads, prospects, customers, clients. And so one of the main goals and key foundational points that I always include in a strategy is intention. Because I think a lot of times we sit here and we think, okay, I'm going to have this marketing strategy, or I'm going to post this on social, I'm going to run this ad, without much intention of what is that next step? What is the conversion point? What is the conversation I'm going to have with somebody once they respond to this advertisement? So I always encourage people to really have massive clarity on the end goal and the intention. I actually call it step 2, because we master step 1 where we say, cool, I got my photo, done. I got my caption, done. I'm going to post it this day, great. Maybe I'll throw a hashtag on it, awesome. But we miss, where are we going to capture them? Where are we going to drive them? What kind of emotion or reaction or action are we going to elicit by posting this or sharing this or putting it out there? So that's, I think, one of the biggest pieces that's overlooked, is that preparation before you even have the opportunity to convert them or have that conversation. And if and when you can really do that properly, there's so much cohesion between the initial exposure and the time and point where they've converted by giving you their information, or however they choose to engage, whatever your specific flow is, that messaging is so cohesive across the entire thing that they're already sold before you even talk to them. And that makes getting on the phone a whole lot less scary when you know that somebody's almost begging you to get on that phone, instead of it being something more so like, oh, I know they saw this, but it's really this. So the conversation is going to be a little different because we've got mixed expectations. And the expectations is just, there's a saying that goes, expectation is premeditated resentment. So whenever you are improperly setting the expectation or the lack thereof by the content that you are or are not sharing, now you're setting yourself up for a bigger gap between what they've expected and what is actually happening. So I feel like that piece is massive.
No question. Let's talk real quickly about the importance of authenticity and being intentional with your desire to help people versus being a salesperson and building your brand, right? Because I think a lot of people, they're not authentic. I think they feel like they have to be scripted and programmed, and that they've always got to be selling and closing, where really, if you want to be somebody who's magnetic and who people want to reach out to, you've really got to be yourself, because that's what they're plugging into. And then you got to think about solving problems and helping them, and not so much trying to pitch yourself to them. So could you talk a little bit more about that and the importance of it and how you weave it into what you talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm huge on authenticity and transparency. And I think a lot of times, particularly when somebody's newer to a profession or industry, or in just more of a state of need, of lack, we get that kind of lack mentality. And then it feels like we have to chase people. We have to chase business. And then even if it's not the right person, or we don't have the right intention on either side of the spectrum, we need them because we need that business. And so then you're operating out of this place, which puts you in a hard position because you're not able to really, act with integrity at all times. And that to me is huge, because I've been there, and I've worked with a lot of partners and people and clients that I've even had to turn down or turn away or cut off because I identified this lack of genuine intention in helping people. Their goal was to get the money. And as much as we all love the money, like, to me, it means nothing if there's not meaning and purpose behind it. So having that true why and that true connection as to what you're doing is so crucial. And here's what I urge people to do is to have a point of reflection where you identify pieces and elements of your business and your specific process or methodology that you can really get invested in, that you can really attach your why to. So I'll use the example of real estate, right? I mean, the act of unlocking a door and showing somebody the 97th property that I already know they're going to hate, that's not something that excites me, right? It's kind of hard for me to really get excited about that. Maybe sometimes, But what I can get excited about is the ability that I have to help this person find a new roof for their family, where they're going to start, where they're going to raise their next child, where they're going to get their next promotion, where they're going to experience the highest highs and the lowest lows of their life in the comfort of something that they fought for, that they earned, and that they now have this massive pride in owning. So you see how it's the same actual physical action, but I'm able to attach meaning and purpose and authenticity to something about it. So I think that helps a lot to really attach yourself to it. Because then when it comes to the daily actions, doing the phone calls or doing your follow-up or these things, there are days when that motivation will dry up. And when that motivation dries up, that's when you have to tap into your discipline and tap into your mission and your purpose. And it really helps to be able to attach the two.
Cool. So I think it's important because a lot of people, they don't quite understand what their purpose and mission is, and kind of have to go through a process. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek's Find Your Why. He says basically, to find your why, number one, it's usually born in pain. There's some sort of pain that you never want to feel again, or you don't want somebody else who you love or you're working for to feel again. And so it's basically, I'm going to contribute X so that I can impact Y. Right? I'm going to do this so that I can impact Y, right? So it's got to be something that you can change, something that you can influence. So I'm just interested for you, just not for your personal brand, for your business, like what's your mission, and then what's your why? Like, what drives you? Because I want people to, because here's the thing. I mean, it's got to be hard being 16, 17, 18 years old, and you're on your own, right? You're in a car driving to a state you've never been to before. You grew up in a town of thousands of people, not tens of thousands of people, right? And you likely didn't have any, mentors or anything like that. And you know what I'm saying? So you've probably had a tougher life than a lot of folks probably even understand. I mean, you really glamorized everything. Oh, I was the manager at Dutch Bros, and then I was marketing and real estate, and I built a huge, and so like, I mean, that's awesome. But there's a lot of stuff a lot of pain, I'm sure, right? A lot of grit and determination that, is beneath that, what I'm saying? And so I'm interested, how does it impact your mission? How does it impact your purpose? I mean, what came of that for you?
Yeah, very much so. You hit it on the head, especially that your why often does come out of pain. And not for everyone, but definitely for many. And for me, it definitely did. So initially, one of my main drivers is, growing up without much of a family connection and not having a lot of support system. I had always led my life on this solo mission. I'm going to do it myself. I don't need anybody. I don't and that can only get you so far. And so I had to reparent and relearn a lot of things in teaching myself that that's not the right mentality. There's actually so much more to be said and to be accomplished when you have a much more collaborative approach to life. So it did inspire me, though, to use that as my fuel, is to be able to make people feel like they belong. Like that quote that I said at the beginning of one of the things my manager told me of, you're now this family of misfits. As funny as it was, it hit me so hard at the time, because I just uprooted the somewhat lack of life that I had my entire childhood to now take this bold step to build that for myself. And I didn't have much of a support system. And so it does make me extremely excited and passionate every single day when I know that my employees, my clients, and people that I interact with, those are my family of misfits. Those are the people that I get to make feel like there's something special inside of them and that they have a reason to be here as well. And that to me, fires me up more than anything. To take it a step further, when it came to that massive pivot in my life in around 2018, 2019, it was really 2019 that happened. It was a result of a situation I never could have predicted. I was in this long-term relationship. We were going to be together forever, engaged, all this stuff. And all of a sudden I got flipped on my head, and some really traumatic experience caused me to completely start from ground zero, is how it felt. And so I remember in that moment, I have so many documents because I'm a big journaler. I've journaled since I was a little kid. And I have so many stories and so many things that I've written down. And I remember just praying for anyone to be this light. Is there anyone that can show me that there's a way out of this, that there's hope? I am very strong in my faith, so that helped me through so much of it. But there's also this need for someone to show you that it's real and that it's true and that you can get yourself out. And so I was able and fortunate to pull myself out of a really hard situation, a really challenging time in many capacities. And I want to be that inspiration for others, whether your situation is as dark and dreary as mine felt at the time, or it's half that or 10 times that. There's no real gauge of anybody's trauma being worse than someone else's, but we're all going to experience it at some point. And you have to know that there is strength in numbers, and there are people that will rally against you even when you feel alone. And I feel like social media gives me this platform to share that story and to really include people in a community where they can hopefully feel just a sliver of that I try to portray through the stories that I share. I mean, your mess is your message, and there's so much power in sharing your story. I had someone that told me that every time you tell your story, it's continued rehabilitation. So as much as it serves everyone around me, it's also serving me day in and day out, because I'm able to learn more from it and apply it to new situations that I get into.
It's harder for us to make sense of things when they stay in our head. I always joke around. I'm like, I wish my head was like square, so some stuff would get caught in a corner and not keep riding around. You know what I'm saying? But you can't make sense of anything as long as it stays in your head. So sharing that story, obviously, right? And I'm gonna be your I don't know, your testimony or whatever it is. I mean, I follow you. I at least once. I don't know, maybe it's once a day. I forgot, but several times a week. It's funny. I'll see a sentence and I'll see more, and I click more, and it's like, it's this, right? And it's this long, thoughtful, like really, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like well-developed, meaningful. Understanding of a problem or a challenge in life, or how you overcame it. And it's like, just really inspiring people and encouraging them. And I really believe that's why, it may not be why people find you, but I really believe that's why they stay with you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a big piece of it.
And you live and embody everything. So you're really congruent with what you're saying here. So before I know you have a little giveaway for people, but before this, how can you help people? Like what can you do for people? If people want to find you, they're going to find you. We'll talk about it in a second. They can go down, and I'll just do this here, but they can DM you phone sales secrets to Tessabella, 2 A's on H. Talk about, I know you have different levels of things that you offer, because I think some people are looking at this and like, okay, they can already say this is going to cost me a lot of money, right? And so, but right? And they should, because that's the value you bring to the table, and it's worth every penny. But and we're not here to sell anything, obviously, but I just want to know, if you're going to help people, what are the different things you can do for them if they want to check you out?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's lots of different levels and ways to engage with myself and my team. And in almost every case, I am very much involved and hands-on. I have the capacity to do so right now, and I enjoy being able to do that, because I feel like it's one of my gifts to give that to people. So I have a done-for-you media agency. So we do social media management, anything from content creation, distribution, engagement, growth, all of those different pieces. Those start in really affordable tiered options. And then on the flip side, which you see probably at the top of your screen there, TBDigital Media, that's our full service agency. That's where, we do really robust projects and building out full marketing suites or developing someone's course and those kind of things that are a bit larger on those sides. And then there's options to engage with me as a coach, whether in a group setting or individual, and consulting and pieces like that. What I always say is the best case scenario is, and he just threw it on the bottom of the screen there, but if you shoot me a direct message on Instagram, that's the best place to connect with me, because you can see that I do practice what I preach and everything's on there. I'll take the time to genuinely find where the best place is to direct you. I find that has led to some of the best relationships and some of the best solutions for everyone, because I know my value I bring to a lot of interactions, but there's also so much power in being able to identify, hey, I may not be the right fit to help you in this, but I have the perfect person who is. So I encourage anyone who wants to reach out or who feels compelled to please reach out, and I can help you in many capacities, even if that's finding a fit that's going to be the right one for you.
Very cool. Awesome. What do you have for us today? You said you got a little gift, little something, little giveaway here. What do you got for us?
Well, I do. I have a branding guide, actually. It's all about really developing your personal brand on social media, which is huge. You actually kind of alluded to it at one point throughout what we were talking about, that, when you follow me on social, you're seeing my dog, you're seeing me out on the golf course, you're seeing these things, as well as many business things tied in there. But that's strategically in there so that people are able to connect and get to know me. It's my favorite thing in the world when I'm out and about, or when I'm at an event and someone comes up to me and starts talking to me and it's like, oh, I feel like I already know you. That to me is like, yes, that's a big win, because that means that we've already broken down that barrier. We've established the like, know, and trust. And you feel like I'm a contact of yours, a friend of yours, and now we can have really meaningful things from there. So if anyone's interested, I have a very helpful personal branding checklist that helps you kind of establish what those different pieces are, to share with your audience as well, to have that same effect.
Awesome. Anything else you're working on that you'd like to share with people here?
Oh, I think that's it for now. There's a couple exciting things that I hoped I would have the green light to talk about, but I haven't got them quite yet. You know how it goes when you're working out with other people that, kind of keep things behind wraps. So the biggest thing I'd say is follow along on the journey, because there's some cool stuff coming in the rest of this year and beginning of next that'll definitely get some ears buzzing and all kinds of people taking action. So that's all I got.
Awesome. I was super excited to have you today. I mean, very grateful for your time. I know you're uber busy, and you are, more dynamic and spectacular than I ever thought you would be, just watching you on Instagram. And I really appreciate your time today. And again, I honor your vulnerability and your willingness to share your story at such a deep level. So any last words?
That's it. Go out there and make a difference. Make sure that you impact everyone around you, and remember to take it day by day.
Awesome.
Thanks.
That's Tessabella. I'm Wally Bressler. Has been on the phone. Hey there, this is Wally Bressler, and on behalf of my guest today, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this episode of On the Phone. If you'd like more information on how to overcome sales call reluctance, procrastination, and self-sabotage, and become an expert on the phone, go to www.phonesalessecrets.com. And if you'd like my free course on how to overcome sales call reluctance, please go to www.phonesalessecrets.com.